computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
Hello dear listener, and welcome to episode 90 of Life Through a Prism with your host Rob Tierney. And in this episode we're going to take another look at the ongoing situation with credit card providers denying some video game purchases. The article is entitled Visa and MasterCard Deny Direct Involvement in Gaming Censorship Amid Mass Backlash. It is from thatparkplace.com, written by Marvin Montenaro. In an escalating controversy shaking the gaming industry, payment giants Visa and MasterCard have issued statements denying direct involvement in the recent wave of adult-themed game removals from platforms like Steam and itch.io. These denials come amid accusations that the companies under pressure from activist groups, such as the Australian organisation Collective Shout, are indirectly enforcing censorship through their policies on high-risk merchants. This has sparked widespread outrage among gamers, developers and free speech advocates, leading to mass call campaigns, petitions and calls for regulatory intervention. The Spark. Collective Shout's campaign against quote-unquote harmful content. The controversy traces back to Collective Shout, a feminist advocacy group based in Australia, known for campaigning against the objectification of women and what they describe as content that normalises exploitation. In recent months, the group targeted digital storefronts hosting adult-orientated video games, particularly those featuring extreme depictions and themes. Collective Shout argued that such games contribute to real-world harm and lobbied payment processors like Visa and MasterCard to withhold services from platforms allowing these titles. According to reports, Collective Shout's efforts included letter-writing campaigns and public pressure, claiming that the content violates the processor's own guidelines on prohibited activities. The group celebrated the subsequent policy changes on Steam and itch.io as victories in their fight. For instance, in July 2025, Steam updated its content guidelines to explicitly prohibit games that breach payment processor standards, resulting in the delisting of over 400 titles, many of which were indie horror or adult games. itch.io followed suit, citing stricter requirements from intermediaries like Stripe, which processes payments on behalf of Visa and MasterCard. Critics, including game developers and players, argue that Collective Shout's influence represents an overreach by a small activist group imposing moral standards on global platforms. Titles infected include not just adult games but also horror experiences like Mouthwashing and Vile Exhumed, which were removed despite lacking real-world illegal content. Platforms respond: forced compliance or self-censorship. Steam, owned by Valve, confirmed to developers that the changes were necessary to maintain payment processing capabilities, offering stored credits as compensation for affected titles. itch.io's response was more direct, stating that payment providers like PayPal, Payoneer and Stripe, tied to Visa and MasterCard, imposed elevated standards, forcing the platform to hide or remove certain mature content. To ensure that we can continue to operate, we must prioritise our relationship with our payment partners and take immediate steps towards compliance, itch.io stated in a blog post. This is a time-critical moment for itch.io. The situation developed rapidly and we had to act urgently. Valve and itch.io's compliance has been framed by some as a pragmatic business decision to avoid losing access to major payment networks, which handle billions in transactions annually. However, this has fueled accusations of backdoor censorship, where payment processors act as de facto gatekeepers without direct accountability. Visa and MasterCard's denials. No moral judgments. In response to the growing backlash, both Visa and MasterCard have publicly denied actively moderating content or pressuring platforms directly. Visa's statement, shared in responses to customers' inquiries and reported across gaming outlets, reads, quote, As a global company, we follow the laws and regulations everywhere we do business. While we explicitly prohibit illegal activity on our network, we are equally committed to protecting legal commerce. If a transaction is legal, our policy is to process the transaction. We do not make moral judgments on legal purchases made by consumers. However, Visa does not moderate content sold by merchants, nor do we have visibility into the specific goods or services sold when we process a transaction. When a legally operating merchant faces an elevated risk of illegal activity, we require enhanced safeguards for the banks supporting those merchants. Closed quotes. MasterCard echoed this sentiment in a similar statement. Quote, MasterCard has not evaluated any game or required restrictions of any activity on game creator sites and platforms, contrary to media reports and allegations, the company said via X. Our payment network follows standards based on the rule of law. Put simply, we allow all lawful purchases on our network. At the same time, we require merchants to have appropriate controls to ensure MasterCard cards cannot be used for unlawful purchases. These responses have been criticised as evasive by figures like game designer Mark Kern, Grums on X, who called MasterCard's statement a lie in a viral post, arguing that indirect pressure through intermediaries like Stripe constitutes involvement. So let's just stop there for a second. Who is this Grums? His real name is Mark Kern. Mark Edward Kern is also known as Grums. He's a former video game executive. He worked for Blizzard Entertainment from 1997 to 2005 and was a co-founder and CEO of Red 5 Studios during the development and promotion of the video game Firefall. So he's no fly-by-night person. He really knows what he's talking about. Okay, back to the article. Kern pointed to itch.io's specific mention of stricter standards from Visa and MasterCard as evidence of behind-the-scenes influence. Despite the denials, neither company has addressed specific allegations from collective shouts campaigns or provided details on what, quote, enhanced safeguards, close quotes, entail, leading skeptics to view the statements as corporate deflection. Backlash intensifies, calls, petitions, and legislative pushback. The gaming community has mobilised in response, overwhelming Visa and MasterCard's customer service lines with complaints. Some reports indicate thousands of calls per day, causing temporary disruptions. A Change.org petition demanding transparency and reversal of the policies has surpassed 174,000 signatures, with supporters arguing that payment processors should not act as moral arbiters. The International Game Developers Association, IGDA, has joined the chorus, calling for clearer guidelines and protection against undue influence on creative industries. On social media platforms like X, users have highlighted alternatives such as decentralized payments and stablecoins, with some predicting a shift away from traditional processes. Stock prices for Visa and MasterCard experienced minor dips amid the uproar, though analysts downplay long-term impacts. Legislatively, the issue has drawn attention to bills like the Fair Access to Banking Act, S401 in the US, which aims to prevent financial institutions from discriminating against legal industries. Proponents argue it could curb similar censorship in the future. Broader implications: a chilling effect on digital freedom. This saga underscores growing tensions between corporate policies, activist pressures, and free expression in the digital age. While Collective Shout frames their actions as protecting vulnerable groups, opponents warn of a slippery slope where payment processors could extend influence to other media, such as books, films, or even non-adult games with mature themes. With ongoing protests and potential legal challenges, the controversy shows no signs of abating. Visa and MasterCard's denials may placate some, but for many in the gaming world, they ring hollow amid the tangible loss of content and livelihoods. What do you think of the responses from MasterCard and Visa? Do you think this is a storm in a teacup, or is it the tip of the potential iceberg to something else in the long run? Would love to hear your thoughts. Let's have a conversation. Till next time, take care and bye for now.